Rhoda, thanks for coming on the podcast. Do you just want to give us a very quick intro into who you are and the business that you have?
Yeah, sure. My name is Rhoda Brain, founder of a company called Mint Marketing. That's that's Mint with a double I. Um, Only because Mint Marketing with a single I was already taken up. And I've been doing this now. We've been trading for nearly 5 years ourselves, and we serve other agencies. That's actually the core service that we offer.
So we'll get into what the business does in more detail a little bit later. Do you just want to give us a quick tour of your career? So before 5 years ago, starting the business and what you were doing then, and then we can move into the business.
Sure. How far back do you want to go? Because
As
I'm no
far back as you
sprinter.
want.
Okay. I started off in my professional career as as an admin, essentially. Working within accounts, doing purchase ledger type of work, boring, kind of paying people, type of work. And then whilst I was whilst I had that full-time job, I dabbled in a lot of other things. So I did a lot of PR work, so like promoting like nights, for example, or if there were any kind of big uh, drum and bass artists coming into town, I would do promotional work for that. And I also got involved in event management. One of my first kind of experience to proper event management was managing a team of 15 staff when I was about 20 years old. And even during then, it exposes you to a lot of marketing related activities. So leading up towards that event, what does it entail? Uh, and then I went into account management. So I got poached by a telecoms company that I used to work for, and they said, "Well, why don't you come and join us?" They already knew who I was, and it was also, we had our own portfolio, and within that portfolio, you had to market to them. So whenever there was a deal, I would send out essentially email marketing campaign before I called it email marketing. I would create kind of bespoke emails for people. This was before
Yeah.
I realized you can use tools such as MailChimp. And from that, I got poached into working for a translations and skills training company, which was an international business. That was my first insight to remote working back in 2015. And I used to work with, not, I didn't manage anybody, though I was a general manager. They were based in Thailand, Germany. I think there were a few people in Hong Kong and India as well. So we had this kind of international, uh, international colleagues essentially. And I was the one who were tasked with driving the business forward within the UK. So it was a startup in in the UK, but was already well established
Yeah.
in uh, Germany, in particular. And then I went for a job role doing so. The job position was an account manager for another digital marketing agency, and it was run by an acquaintance of mine. And so when I applied for the role, I didn't hear anything from him for about 6 months. And then 6 months afterwards, I got a message around the same time that I've just accepted another job as well, to sort of say I've got the role. And when I was talking to him, I said, this is my experience. Do I have any targets? Because when I worked in account management, I've always had a target. So I asked the same sort of thing, working in digital marketing. And he said, "Oh no, there's no target. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to liaise with the team that we've got over in the Philippines. At that point, I sort of said to him, "You do realize I speak fluent Filipino, right?" My aunt wouldn't agree that I speak fluently, but I said, I can speak it conversationally. And so I fell into the operations role within that other agency. And at the time, actually, this agency was first ranking for SEO Bristol or Bristol SEO. So they obviously knew what they were doing when it came to that side of marketing. And at the time when I joined, like I said, I fell into the operations role. There were only about 5 people, 4 to 5 people that I was managing. And I worked my way up to become chief operations of that agency. And when I first joined, there were probably about maybe a total of about 10 people that worked in the agency. And by the time I'd left, there were 60 plus team members within a space of about 2.5 years. So every time we grew as a business, I felt like my what I was doing didn't really change. The responsibilities just kind of grew, but whilst I was doing that, we were building up the middle management. So it did get to a point towards the end where I was only having to speak with a lot of high paying clients, whilst the rest were being looked after by middle management teams. And along with that, we started to hire team members based in the UK to essentially do a bit more of the account management work that I was doing. I left that agency actually the day before I was supposed to become a CEO. Maybe a story for another time,
Yeah.
but it didn't work out. So I was going to be promoted as the CEO of the agency side. As with a lot of agencies, they tend to go from running an agency and then they think to themselves, none of these tools that we're using are good enough. So they go and create their own. And that was a similar sort of roadmap that my former CEO did do. Well, he's still doing that now. And I was going to be the CEO of the agency side so that he could focus on the technical side. So, like I said, I left there. We had different ideas for how we wanted the kind of future of the agency, and it really was my baby. Going from sort of like managing 5 staff to then managing essentially, I think at peak we were at like 70 plus team members. So I think I experienced a lot of part of me that I didn't know existed, because you had to make really tough decisions. Um, when you recognize that something could be a lot more cost effective, you just make you make decisions that could literally turn somebody's life upside down. And so, um, now having my own company where it's not necessarily based upon operational profit, as it were, I think I've got the right balance that I perhaps didn't used to have. So when I first started to do my agency, sorry, in between, let me go back to that. So in between, I did some consulting work, uh, but during my covenants period, I actually did some babysitting and am a qualified masseuse. So I did a bit of that work in this kind of 6 months before I could go and do other marketing related type of work. And during that period, I was consulting with businesses within the SME space for operations. And then on the marketing side, I was consulting with multi-billion pound companies. So it was mainly reviewing how they were spending their marketing spend. With some of the tech firms that I've worked with, they would spend something like 50 grand a month, and it turns out that about 50% of that budget wasn't being spent on countries where their services were compliant. Things like that
Right.
would seem very obvious for a marketing person, but sometimes with a lot of these large companies who have had lots of funding, they tend to just think there's, this kind of endless fountain of money where investors would keep throwing money at them. So they don't tend to use a consultant like me until they're running out. And then
Right.
I don't know if you've experienced a similar sort of thing, but yeah, it's not that uncommon because they kind of squander it when they first get their funding, or they're, not saying that is intentional at all, but when you've got a lot more to spend, you
Yeah.
probably don't tend to look after the pennies as much as you would when you're at the very end of that buffer.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then November 2020, sorry, November 2019 was the first month that I made my first 10 grand within a month. And so bearing in mind, just a few months before that, I was babysitting at minimum wage. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like this massive contrast of lifestyle that I acquired within that short period of time. And I remember getting to 10K. So at the time, I was working in London, and I was only coming home every weekend. I spoke with my husband and I said, uh, "Where's the fireworks?" And I was crying because I was just so disappointed about how it felt, because it was this kind of like big goal for me to reach 10K in a month of money that I made.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until a few weeks later, like it wasn't until maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that that I got a message from my old team member who sort of said, "We still really miss you. Merry Christmas," all these nice stuff. And then that's when I thought, this is what I'm missing. The running or starting up an agency was always a plan. It was always there. But then I thought, why do I need to do that? I'm making enough money, way more money than I used to get paid working for someone else. So I thought to myself, well, I'll just carry on doing this. Why not? And then, like I said, I got to that goal, felt really unfulfilled, or not. It wasn't very rewarding, partially because I worked with lots of very corporate kind of companies where your contribution, which is like your life's work, doesn't mean much to them. You're
Right.
just a very tiny uh a very tiny cog in a massive machine. And I think that's where I didn't find a lot of satisfaction in that. So um somebody had messaged me, and then it got to the new year, and I thought I do really need to start letting some of my clients know that I'm going to be leaving, or that they can still use me as for marketing, but it's not necessarily going to be myself that they're going to be dealing with. So a lot of them weren't very happy about that. So a lot of them just found another marketing consultant because they wanted really to work hand in hand with me, even though I've explained to them that it was always going to be me for at
Yeah.
least the first sort of 6 months anyway. And COVID hit. So apparently it's not the best time to start a business when you're going into lockdown. Um, we were cold calling. Well, my husband kind of helped out a little bit, but I was actually cold calling during lockdown, and people were extremely offended, sort of going, "You
Right.
do realize people are dying?" And I'm like,
Oh.
"I know.
Oh
Um,
dear.
I'll be next if I don't get money." So at the time it was really difficult because my husband also runs his own company, And at the time, he was refurbishing wheels, and people didn't want to travel 2-3 hours. I didn't think that would qualify for essential working or anything like that, or essential travels. So we really struggled. It was a really sad time. I remember sort of my husband coming home. I wasn't making any money. The only bit of money that I was making were from babysitting. Sorry, that was a year before, but in that period, I had lost all my clients. Um, I couldn't massage people. I, I wasn't babysitting. And then my husband came home and sort of said, "I think we have to shut down the company because
Well,
we can no longer continue."
yeah.
So that was a really tough time. But we kind of pulled our socks up and thought, you know, like these are the moments that separates the wheat from the chaff, as it were. So I think that we carried on. We carried on pursuing our businesses. We made some tough decisions along the way. We did also have, our family is extremely supportive. So financially, we had a lot of safety net. So if it weren't for that, then, we probably would have lost our house to repossession, if I'm completely honest. And yeah, 5 years on, still here and working with some of the largest agencies at the moment as we speak.
Wow. Wow, Jose, and thanks for being like so open. And
That's
uh,
fine.
I'm sure we could, yeah, we could probably do a full hour on just that time period. But we'll we'll get into the business then, if that's all right. You mentioned now that you're working with some of the biggest agencies, um, some of the biggest agencies. What is it? Do you just want to take us through exactly what you're doing for those agencies and the services that you're providing for them now?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we can't mention them for obvious reasons. But what we do for them is we essentially deliver predominantly SEO and social media work for some of these agencies. The reason as to why it's been an attractive proposition for a lot of these agencies is that uh, there isn't as much commitment. That's the truth. If, for example, we didn't deliver for whatever reason, there's no kind of concerns about, oh, is this company going to sue me for firing them if we didn't do our job right? And uh, one other thing that we do really pride ourselves in is the quality of the work that we deliver. So we run our operations predominantly based in the Philippines, and we do have some team members based in South Asia too. We're not monopolizing those. Sorry, we're not exclusively working within those companies. We're utilizing countries that I'm already familiar with. So with the previous agency that I've worked in, we probably had about 5 team members who are based in South Asia. In the whole time that Mint's been running, I've had team members based in North America, Africa, East Europe as well. And it does actually work from a time zone perspective. So you've always got coverage. Uh, though when it comes to managing different team members of different culture, it's it's another layer of management. So, if you've got all of your team members based in the UK, all of the working etiquettes are going to be fairly similar to one another. When you have people from different countries, that is a lot different than you know,
Yeah.
how it would normally be set up. So yeah, in terms of the work that we deliver, it's just very much kind of output based rather than sort of like uh it is also based on hours, but we do also say, okay, based on this number of hours, this is what we expect to be able to deliver. And if we're not able to deliver that within the said time, we tend to, look at first why that wasn't the case. And we will always deliver based on the output that we expected to be able to complete. So, yeah.
Cool. Has it always been just working with agencies, or were you working with some of the um like some of the companies that you had worked with in your consulting days? Was it always agencies, or was it a split to start with, and then you decided to go down the agency route? What did that look like?
Yeah. So, uh, to start with, actually, from day one, our first ever clients uh, was Smarter Media. They're one of our first ever customers, which I then bought last year. Um, so from day one, we've always had both directs and other agency partners. The reason for moving towards promoting Mint predominantly as a provider for other agencies is because we can do scale, we can do like operational volume. And so if, for example, tomorrow we get a client who says, I need 500 hours of work delivered every month, we can get that set up within a week to 2 weeks. So the business model is set up so that we've always got at least 500 hours worth of capacity at any given time with the team that we have at the moment. Um, the reason for coming away from directs wasn't commercial by any means. It was just that uh, it made more sense to go with what I knew most. So even with the previous agency that I used to work for, the reason why it grew so quickly was because uh, my former CEO has built these really great relationships with other people who were scaling. So we were kind of just tagging along with that other company's already growing um, agency. So when I bought Smarter Media, it made sense to have Smarter Media focus on working with direct clients or direct businesses, and then with Mint Marketing's main focus being working with other agencies. We do still serve some direct clients at the moment, but it's again not going to be the main focus moving forward.
Cool. I mean, quite interested to know like the business development side of it then for like working with agencies. Has that been mostly through relationships and people that you know, or has there been any sort of business development in terms of, like you mentioned, you did your cold calling in COVID? Is that something that you picked up again, or how is the majority of new business coming for you?
So, last year actually, we struggled a lot when it came to natural disasters. So that was one of the reasons as to why we started to take on new team members based in other parts of the world rather than just the Philippines. This will be my 9th year in working with an outsourced or rather offshore
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Um, and last year was the worst that we've ever experienced when it came to natural disasters. We had some team members being evacuated because of the flood, because of the volcano about to erupt. We then also have lots of electricity that were going down. Um, One of the good things that I really pride ourselves to is that we were still able to deliver the work on time. And that is because the processes that we've built as a company, not just myself, I've got some team members that have been working with me for nearly 10 years now, is that we're able to find people very quickly in order to replace, some of the hours that we might have missing. And so last year was actually not focused on acquiring new business. It was actually to retain the clients that we did have and to make sure that they were happy with the work that were being done. Um, Other bits of growth that we did have last year were really organic. So, I really wanted to put a pause on growing the business. Maybe at the beginning of the year, that's obviously not what most people think. At the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
they're thinking, yeah, I'm going to smash it. I'm going to grow the business like 4 times. Um, it became quite clear quite quickly that it wasn't going to be the right way forward
Yeah.
into growing a sustainable business. But in terms of the clients that we have onboarded last year, some of them, well, most of them, in fact, were clients I've worked with in the past. So, some of these relationships go back 8 years ago. And so, you know, we do pride ourselves in obviously being an agency that's going to be reliable and will deliver high quality work at a a really cost effective price point.
Very good. So last year was all about retention. Does that mean that
Yes.
this year that this year is all about now you can start to look at growth?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, this year that's definitely on the list of many things to do. One of the other thing that we're going to really push for this year as well is the fulfillment side. So at the moment, we're offering a lot of our work um, based on kind of like batches of hours
Yep.
that that every month would need to be done. Um, this year, our focus will be to provide departments. So a company or an agency who needs a ten staffed marketing department, that's what we'll be looking to provide soon.
Very good. Um, was this is like a cut off. Just to check if you want to go through. Do you want to go through any? I know you mentioned you can't really say names of clients, but do you want to go through any like specific projects that you've done? Yeah, I don't know, work that's got some results behind it in terms of like numbers that you can share. You don't have.
We can share things like we can share things like how much savings companies have made.
Yeah. Yep.
In terms of the work that we deliver, like by default, the SEO campaigns that we work on tend to have really positive results. So
Yeah.
it should be a given as well. Like I don't want to sort of like talk about something that should be a given for another agency. Um, yeah, I would say maybe just focus on the savings and
Yeah.
how we've been able to deliver that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's probably different to like, the direct stuff. Like, is it savings in terms of time and resource, like their in-house resource and things like that?
Like yeah, costs.
Yeah.
Like so, for example, like using us meant that some of the agencies that we work with has probably saved 2/3
Yes. Okay, we'll do that.
what they would normally spend.
Okay, let's set this up then. We'll go. So, yeah, working with the agencies, I would guess that it's like really cost efficient for them because they don't have to go out and hire the team members, and the current team members that they have, they don't have to put them onto the work. Do you just want to share some of maybe some examples of how much you have saved agencies, and just go through that for us?
Yeah, of course. So on average, we can make savings for agencies of about 2/3 of what they would normally spend uh, having somebody in-house. Uh, like I said earlier, there is no need to commit to us. So we do have some clients that we work with whereby after they've gone through the trial period, we'll sort of say, hey, look, let us be the first refusal agency for the first sort of 12 to 24 months. It just gives us a better running relationship with the client. But overall, because of the work that is being done is also somewhat guaranteed to be of a certain level of quality, it's absolutely in our interest to deliver really good work because uh, if it's not to that level, which I can't say that that's never happened to us before. There's been one or two times where it's not quite cut it within the first instance. Typically, it is to do with maybe not sufficient briefing, but also, maybe we just haven't brought in the right person. It's our job to make sure that's rectified. So, all that without having to spend more money. Because, really, if you've got a team of 10 staff, they all make a mistake that all takes an hour. That's 20 hours of sorry, that yeah, so it would have taken an hour to do the job in the first place. If they got it wrong, that's another hour that they've got to do to rectify it. That's 20 hours that the employer or our clients would still have to pay for. Whereas with us, obviously, there isn't that same
Yeah.
uh kind of commitment.
Yeah, so they're paying for what they're paying for, basically. Like there's no
Yeah.
extra on that. There's no, if something does go wrong, they don't have to, pay the staff to do it again. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Um, I'm interested to know, like, we'll probably, yeah, probably go into the last bit. Um, so I'm interested to know, you mentioned like last year was the retention, this year's growth, as well as fulfillment. What is, and you can go wherever you want with this. So, what's next, either for the business, the industry? Obviously, we've got a lot of people like to talk about AI and how they're using that. But what's coming next? Maybe in the next year, next 3 years, for you.
I think that that's a really broad question because a lot of people within this space, a lot of people, a lot of my personal friends within the marketing space really struggle to see what it's going to really look like with AI um, slowly but surely, not even slow, it's fastly but surely kind of being able to do a lot more than what we were able to do. Saying that, 2022 was when everybody's mind kind of went crazy over ChatGPT. Um, and now AI is kind of part of the everyday life. And since I think it was since ChatGPT 4, I've not had any more existential crises about it. So that's going to be a good thing because then it's not going, it's not jumping too many hoops for the moment. I think ultimately people will consistently be needed. And what will happen is that is going to be the battle of originality because what will happen is that the standard stuff that ChatGPT is able to produce are all the things that's already readily available out there.
Yeah.
So I think that agencies who will succeed are those who have got creativity at its core of their business. Um, that's what I think. And then for the rest, that I think that a lot of we work with a lot of different project management tools, and for a lot of them, it seems that they are prematurely enforcing AI as part of their customer service. And I think
Yep.
that can actually put people off. So I think that what we'll see is that uh, things like customer service will will continue to still have a human aspect to it. Um, but it's always to review the machine's work. I think that's all that will happen, is that you know we do that now. We do a lot of work through AI, uh, but because it can spit out absolute crap, um, the what our team is for is to do a bit of sanity check to make sure that nothing is being uh generated that's not good. So in terms of this year, our push really is going to be the fulfillment side of the business. That's going to be our focus. And in terms of what that's going to look like in the future, I've got some ideas, but the truth is we don't know. Um, there was a TikToker who had dinner with lots of very high up people within Silicon Valley, and she asked them if ChatGPT, sorry, not ChatGPT, if AI um, was the internet, what year would we be? And they said 1996.
Mm.
So I think that probably, that's very insightful to what else is yet to come, because also the AI that we're able to access, that's like the safer ones, right? There's already lots more AIG, so artificial general, I can't remember what it's called now, artificial general intelligence. So that's when they can start to smell, that's when they can start to
Yes.
move. So AGI, it's not AIG. So in terms of what we're able to access, I think that there is a lot of artificial general intelligence out there that's already existing, but they're away from us because it's not safe enough.
Yeah.
So I do think that there's a lot more going on out there that we just don't know about.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right now that it's more of a um an extra tool rather than a standalone thing to use, like you mentioned, your team using it for to sanity check things, or you have to go and sanity check things, and because it does spit out a lot of crap, like you said. But yeah, yeah, like how far it's come in the last 6 months, like in a few years, yeah, it definitely is gonna be interesting. But I do always think that the human element, like you said, is going to be needed. And you start to see like right now you can tell when something's AI generated, even like LinkedIn comments or LinkedIn posts or anything like that. So you can still sense from a mile off when something is pure artificial intelligence. So the ones that are a bit more authentic and um, human is is still the way to go. Yeah, totally agree. Um, is there anything else that you want to cover off before we wrap up? No.
No, I think there's lots that I could talk about, but
Yeah.
uh I think that pretty much kind of covers like major
Mhm.
like bits to discuss, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if people like the sound of you and what you spoke about then and want to check out the business, where can they find that and where can they find you?
Sure. So best place to find me is probably my LinkedIn. So Rhoda Brain, spelt Brain for my surname. Sometimes it's Brian. And you shan't miss me because I've got an emoji of a brain on my name on LinkedIn. And my business is called Mint Marketing. So it's just mintmarketing.com. That's our website
With 2 eyes. 2 eyes.
with 2 eyes. Absolutely.
Perfect. Reda, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing all of that. It's
Thank
been
you
really
so
interesting.
much. Yeah, thank you.